Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody at Invisible Condition to know, beyond the shadow of a doubt, no matter who's watching, you do have a community, you do have a voice, and you are never alone, ever. And so I want to bring on a guest, a co-host today. You guys have been, for those of you who've been watching a little bit longer, over the last few weeks, Michal LeBaron has been with me regularly here over the last few weeks, and it's been pretty awesome. So if you haven't been watching more regularly, go back and watch some of the episodes with her because it'll blow your mind. So Michal is she has over the years, she's like battled through a whole bunch of stuff, misdiagnoses and uncertainty with things she was experiencing with her health. And then, even with like autoimmune things that if she's been diagnosed with, she still, she just, when you've got all these different autoimmune conditions and all these little different things, and everybody tells you, oh, well, just take this vitamin and you'll be fine. Just drink this shake if you'll be fine, and go to the chiropractor and you'll be fine, and go to this and you'll be fine, and do all the things. She figured out doing all that stuff still meant she was unhealthy, because you should be able to be healthy without all of that. And there is a way, and she can help us get there. So we're going to bring her on, and I know it sounds counterintuitive, it sounds countercultural. It's kind of what we're about around here a little bit. So let's bring her on and get this thing rolling here. Michal, thanks for being here again. This is awesome. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Jeff. So glad to be here and share my story. And I hope, it's like the best thing that could happen is it brings one person hope and clarity, and the hope and
Right.
clarity that I wished I would have found a lot sooner. So,
Well, and help. I mean, you've been helping people work through this stuff, and for so many years that it's like, it's possible. You've done it for yourself. You've done it for so many other people. It
Yep.
is possible. It's just not enough people know about it, which is why we're here.
Yep.
So, so speaking of not enough people knowing about it, I'm going to put your QR code up. Wow. Apparently, it's too early to be doing this, I guess, because
I know, yeah,
I'm,
I suppose.
I'm tired already. So, all right. So we are. What are we going to be talking about today? You said something about seven. It was seven something. I can't remember what.
7, very good. Yes.
Seven.
I call it the 7 declarations for being a fully healthy person. I think of declarations like commitments. And so we
Yes.
just, in the last few weeks, we've gone through like the 5 breakthrough discoveries that really talk about, what is the actual real root cause of the body not being able to heal itself, not being able to repair, and then being in a state where these chronic illnesses do become chronic, do persist.
Yeah.
And we have to keep band-aiding all those symptoms with diets and supplements and tools and modalities and techniques and all of that. And so what I want to move forward into is like, okay, great. We talked about like the root cause and how to uncover what is actually causing the body to not heal and repair at a cellular level. But now let's move into like, what does it actually mean to be fully healthy, and the kind of commitments that we learn to live from, the kind of values that we learn to incorporate, so that we can live in a regulated state. We can live in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is resting, digesting, growth, and repair. That's very different than survival mode, the fight, flight, freeze, fawn that most of the world is in today. And it's in that sympathetic dominant state, that survival state, that our bodies cannot heal and cannot repair. So we're going to actually dive deeper into what it does look like.
Nice. And it seems so simple. It seems so ridiculously simple. When I introduce people to you that I meet, and I send you guys like an intro or something on email, I tell them, and it's almost like it's like it can't be that simple. But simple and easy are two different things. So something can be very simple, but it doesn't mean it's easy. So so it's going to take work, but it's so cool. So cool. All right. So what is, let's die. Oh, by the way, I just want to throw this out there for everybody watching. I'm going to do this right now because I don't want to forget. If you hear anything during this episode, you go, holy crap, I think that's, yeah, that rings a bell. Reach out, scan the QR code, and go to the website. There's a place for you to be able to send Michal a message, or just simply put in the comments if you're watching on like Facebook or YouTube. Really easy way to comment on there. Just put me, or call me, or I'll call you, or put something in there that says I'm interested. I want to learn more, and then we can get you in touch. So anyway, just want to, because this can be a lot. So I just want to get that out of the way right up front. So there's no excuses. If you want to learn more, you know how to do it now. So,
love it. Thank you. Yeah. And I feel like, for those who are new, maybe just like a few sentences about my story and from where I'm coming from. Like you said, doctors thought I was a mystery. They didn't know what was wrong. Functional medicine allowed me to find out I did have an autoimmune disease. I had a genetic disorder that's actually shown up in my blood work since I was a baby, but doctors still didn't tell me about it because in the US there's no meds. So down the rabbit hole we go.
So why would you tell you about it if there's no medication to give you for it?
Yeah. Exactly. Because it'd be relevant, and I could actually still do treatment protocols for it, but doesn't make them any money. So
what?
So I had food allergies. I had a lot of different things. But then the more I knew, it was like playing whack-a-mole. One symptom popped up, whack, right? And another one would pop up, whack. So food allergy, okay, don't eat anything, right? I'll eat this limited amount of foods. And then over the years, I actually developed even more food sensitivities because I had such a restricted diet. So round and round. So I did that for like a decade and a half, hit my breaking point, like, this is ridiculous and there has to be more. We're told our bodies can heal themselves, but then we're told, oh, you need this thing or you need that thing or whatever. It's like, I thought my body could heal itself. So that was what had me go into this what don't I know research quest.
Yeah.
And I found nervous system regulation, and it was really only 3 months of focusing on regulating my nervous system, getting my body into a state that turns on cellular regeneration and repair, that my labs were normal, no sign that I've ever had an autoimmune disease. That's supposed to be permanent. No sign of my genetic condition that's always shown up. That's supposed to be permanent. No sign of my allergies, was told that would be permanent. Some of them were very serious, causing anaphylactic reactions. I weaned off my supplements. I introduced foods. To this day, I've never reacted to those foods again. And it just was like a whole wow game changer for me. So like, that's from where I'm speaking from, is someone that was bedridden for years, did all this stuff to manage symptoms for a decade and a half, and then got fed up because it was exhausting and stressful and very expensive. To like, only in 3 months, oh my God, this was the magic key. And in working with hundreds, probably more clients, over the last 15 years, I've seen the same thing. It's an average of 3 to 5 months, regardless of how long the conditions have been there, that the body can go in and heal itself. And that's not like some crazy thing. I know it is crazy, but
it sounds crazy.
Yes, but the body actually reproduces brand new cells. Like, we replace 75% of our body in 6 months. So it's actually more illogical that your body couldn't heal by producing brand new healthy cells in 6 months than that it isn't possible. It's actually illogical that we would have these for life if we have the ability to produce billions of brand new, fully functioning cells every second. Right. So where I came up with these declarations, I was actually teaching a full day class where I basically, for free, I give everyone just everything we teach. It's like a full 5-month journey packed into a day.
Yeah.
Because I want everyone to have access to this. And I really had to sit down. I knew I wanted to do something about, well, what does it look like to be healthy? But I didn't learn it in this structure. Like, I had to compile this through my own journey. So I sat down with myself and I said, okay, what are the components of me being in a regulated state? How do I go about my life that is different than when I was in survival mode? And that's where these were birthed. So I just wanted to give a little intro so there's context.
And one thing that pops into my head is I've heard people have actually told me when I've talked about you and what you do and how it works. And I mean, I don't know, guys. Listen, I only know enough to be dangerous. So when I talk about it, it probably sounds crazy. And so when people they use the word impossible with me, sometimes they're like, well, that's impossible because people have, and autoimmune diseases, and it's been, they're genetic and they're hereditary, and I've had, and everybody in my family has had it, so I'm gonna get it and all this stuff. And so I don't know why, but that pops in. So remember, we found a clip, and we're like, we have to. So I'm gonna play this clip real quick because everybody's seen these movies, and I'm gonna play it, and you'll understand why I'm playing it in a second. But everybody just listen up and really listen to this, because that's kind of where this whole subject is right in this realm. So check this out.
You mean it'll be difficult?
Very.
Well, this is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's mission impossible. Difficult should be a walk in the park for you.
Love
there
it.
You go.
So
it's not impossible, but it can. There's a difference between simple and easy. So
yes.
So
Very
but it's not impossible, guys. Seriously. All right. So what's number one?
Yes. So, and these aren't necessarily how we learn these. I will talk about that at a later time. But it's kind of like the outcome of how you operate. And I hope that there's a lot in here that maybe triggers some food for thought of just like self-reflection, right? And looking at where you're at, and maybe even giving permission. Oh yeah. Like it's permission for you to also operate this way. So there's 7. Then the first one is, I commit to being open and willing to face all shadow aspects of myself in the process of becoming healthy. So now we have to define some terms, don't we? Probably for our viewers. What are shadow aspects? I'm curious, Jeff, do you know? I don't know if we've talked about this term yet.
No, that sounds kind of shady. Sorry, I almost said shady. Sorry,
that
was so punny it hurts. Okay, I'm sorry. That just really wanted to come out of my mouth, and I resisted it, but then I didn't. So okay, shadow. That sounds kind of mysterious, like it's like in the movies, like shadow government and all that stuff. Like what? It sounds It's probably more simple than that, though.
I like that though. It's like, the hidden secret,
right.
Like whatever.
Nobody's supposed to know about it. Yeah.
Yeah. The secret societies. Okay. So let's define shadow aspects. The term shadow was coined by a psychologist, Carl Jung, and he's known as the father of analytical psychology. So there are entire branches of psychology built on him. It's a large scope, but the reason we like this term is because it really fits what we're doing. So a shadow aspect is basically an unconscious, not something you're conscious of, but an unconscious, repressed or suppressed or oppressed thing. It's either a part of yourself that, when you were a kid, you were showing up super creative. Someone was super judgmental and critical of your creative art piece or whatever. And so you decided, I'm not good enough. I'm not going to be creative and share my art anymore with anybody. That would then become basically a shadow aspect. So these are patterns and habits that we have been conditioned to have from survival mode. Our greatest creativity can be repressed, right? It's like, because we have to look good and be perfect all the time. In perfectionism, we don't get to really be authentic, or, it's like we drive ourselves nuts and exhaust ourselves getting the little details right, that then we don't really get to express what we really want to anyway, right? We're insecure. And so then we're constantly overthinking, what I might be saying or whatever. It's not like I just am free to be myself and free to be self-expressed and confident.
When reading into everything, because there's always got to be an agenda, right? Is that part of it too? Like I remember that was something I dealt with way early in our marriage with Catherine and I. After we got married, because of some of those shadow aspects of my previous years, when I was a kid, it was like she would say something, but it would be like, well, yeah, but you really mean this because it can't be just the face value, right? It's gotta be this hidden meaning, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
you
So that
probably
would be,
you had to read into the hidden meanings to survive the relationships as a kid. So then it becomes a survival pattern and habit, a program that's running,
and
but
then
you're not
when
even conscious of it.
and you're not conscious of it until you get into a relationship that's not a thing anymore, and you don't have to. And the person that you're in the like when we got married, and that's when it really came out. Is when because when you live with somebody 24/7, that stuff really comes out. And yeah, that's when it really came out. Was why are you saying that? That's not what I said. I said, yeah, but that's what it means, right? She's like, no, what I said is what I mean. I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's a concept.
Yeah.
Just say what you mean, you know. And so yeah, so that's one of those that I didn't even realize was a thing until it was presented to me that it was a thing.
Oh, yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
so same thing.
And we could call, codependence and people pleasing
Oh yeah,
and be trauma triggers, all these things are like unconscious behaviors, unconscious patterns and habits that are ruling our life. And all
hmm
of the symptoms associated with fight, flight, freeze, fawn, we could call
yeah,
shadow aspects potentially.
yeah,
So really it's like, what we've talked about in previous classes is that we really are only consciously aware of like 10% or less of what's
yeah,
going on in our bodies, in our lives, in our minds. And so that leaves over 90% to the subconscious and the unconscious mind.
Ooh,
And what's crazy about that is those are things we are not aware of. Those are things that are hidden from our view. So I like your whole
yeah.
secret society thing. It's like shady. Yeah, this is the shady shit, excuse my language, that's
Whoa,
ruling the show. And we don't know. You think you're just a good husband. You just think that your point of view is logical and reasonable. You can't see that it's a pattern and habit to read into things that isn't there until it becomes conscious. And so really, when we commit to being a healthy person, we commit to actually facing everything that comes up for us, not like being lost just in the experience, not reacting, but being like, hold on, there's a reaction. I feel emotionally charged. It's pausing and actually looking at what are the results in my life? When does my body express symptoms? When do those symptoms get worse? And actually looking, okay, what was triggering my nervous system? But then it's going deeper. It's like, and why is that there? And where did that come from? So it's very deep unconscious healing is where a person has to go to even be able to start shutting off those survival programs that are running in the brain and the nervous system. And
yeah,
every illness, every cellular change, every place that the body is compromised and not in its optimal state of function, there was a perception, there was a perceived conflict or threat that did not get resolved in the brain and nervous system that threw you into survival mode. I can't cope
yeah,
with this. It's not resolved. So I have to gear up and survive. And most of us have multiple ones that are running. And so
right,
for me, I had many. I had probably 5 different ones because I had several different chronic illnesses. All of
yeah,
those are resolved now because when those deeper unconscious conflicts get resolved in the brain imaging has actually shown that that there
yeah,
are real lesions that show up that are controlling that part of the body that has the illness. The lesions actually go away when there's a deep inner resolution. And then those parts of the body, those cells, actually get to go through a healing process and return to a normal state of function. So it's also being able to look at the body not as, oh, I'm just broken, right? Because
right.
I love your marriage example. You could have said, well, this is just how I am. Deal with
How's
it.
that gonna go? Yeah,
No, instead
yeah,
you were open and willing to be like, oh, let me self-reflect. Let me have some emotional intelligence here. My wife is giving me feedback that how I'm responding isn't lining up with what she just said. Maybe
right.
there's something for me to look at there. That's the same commitment and approach regarding our bodies, regarding our emotional triggers, regarding anything in life, how we're managing our finances, which is a stressor, which most people
Yeah,
create symptoms over financial stress. It's actually being willing to look at all of these things
Yeah.
We have to if we're going to get our body out of a state of survival, because the brain knows everything, but basically it's monitoring everything, and 90% we're not even aware that it's monitoring.
Yeah.
And so it knows, it's keeping track of how many loose ends there are, of how many things you've promised that you still haven't delivered, of how much time on the calendar you've allotted for yourself, but it actually knows how long it's going to take you to do that to-do list. And so if that's not in alignment, it builds stress and conflicts, and it comes out, then our nervous system is in fight or flight, and then our cells are immediately compromised. So this is just the world of commitment number one.
and this is just the first one, guys. This is
Yeah.
the first one. There's 7 of them. Buckle up, everybody.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, no, that's yeah, that's a lot to soak in. We're gonna, you know what? Let's go to a commercial real quick. Let's go to a commercial. Everybody digest that for a couple of minutes, and then we'll be right back, and we're gonna talk about the second one, the number 2 stressor.
Declaration.
My brain completely fell out of my head there. Apparently, I wasn't using even the 10% for a second. We're going to talk about the number 2 stressor. So, all right, everybody stick around. We will be right back.
Hey there. You know, every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right, everybody. Before we bring Michal back on the show, I want to talk to you about Invisible Condition University. So ICU for short. ICU is it's something I wish that had been around 10 years ago. Would have been so much easier. Every time I've had surgery over the last 10 years, and I've had six of them, 4 brain surgeries and 2 other surgeries that were related to those brain surgeries. It's been a busy 10 years. And every time we'd leave the hospital and they forgot our name and the support was basically gone. And if we wanted more, we had to schedule another appointment. And so that's why my wife Catherine and I created ICU. We wanted to provide a place for others like us, maybe like you. You know, maybe you're in that situation right now. You've left the hospital and now they're like, who? So we wanted to create a community, and we wanted to create a community that listens and that actually cares and that would walk through all the things and not just drop you like a bad habit. So we meet on Zoom a couple times a month, and we invite you to come, and it's a safe place for patients, their caregivers, the people that are walking through the problem, the condition, the surgery, whatever you're going through, walking through with you. Whoever's with you on that journey, bring them with you to ICU. And we want to be able to let you, ask questions, vent frustrations, find information that maybe you're not getting from your medical providers. I know that's a shock, right? People not giving you all the information. We just talked about that, didn't we? So if you'd like to learn more or would like to come and join us for a free month, scan the QR code or go to myfreegiftfromjeff.com, and I will look forward to seeing you there. I'm excited to see you there. And it's an amazing community. It's growing every day, and I can't wait to see you there. So, all right, let's bring Michal back on here, and let's go for it here.
Sweet.
All right, so 1 down, 6 to go.
That's right. So leading into number 2,
Yes.
just to wrap up number 1, one of my favorite quotes of Carl Jung is that until you bring the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. You'll just think it's happening the way it's happening. But
Not my fault. Yeah.
Yep. You can't see how the cause and effect of your patterns and what's showing up in your body, in your life. So we really do have to want to know, what are these insecurities, doubts, and fears? What are my tendencies that come from survival or people pleasing or insecure attachment style, right? We hear all these things. We really have to want to know what's in here, what is inside that's creating a perception that I need to survive my life and that I can't cope with it in a healthy way.
Well, and you've got to be okay with taking responsibility for it, because that's the biggest. No, the thing I hear the most from people that are, especially if it's a lifelong thing or hereditary thing, is it's not my fault. I didn't do this. It was done to me, and I don't have any control over this, and I don't know, and so breaking out of that mindset alone can be probably difficult. And so, so that's.
And I tell people, no, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And there is a way you can learn. And with that knowledge comes power and responsibility, right? That you can actually make a difference here. You can control your nervous system. Your body wants to be in a regulated state. There is literally something, a stressor that's keeping it dysregulated. When you resolve that, boom, your body works with you. It has not betrayed you, and it is not broken, and neither are you. And my favorite response to, well, that's impossible. I said, yeah, but I'm living the medical miracle every day, and I'm seeing it over and over and over every single day in my life that, it's like, yeah, mine was genetic too. Yeah, I had a lifelong permanent autoimmune condition. Yeah, I also had whatever else you were told. I was told that too, but it's not the experience I'm living. And so it's like, if you want a different experience, you got to make a paradigm shift in that. Maybe what we're taught and the paradigm that we are taught is not maybe the truth or the whole truth.
Well, and maybe it's even just shifting your thinking just a tiny little bit to realize that when you get that fever, when you get that autoimmune thing, when you get that shouldn't be settle in, you've got it for the rest of your life. It's, let's figure out what the heck that is, because my body is clearly wanting to be healthy and it's not healthy right now, and it's trying to fight it. Let's help it get healthy and get back to where it needs to be.
Totally.
And not just settle with this, condition that has been presented,
Yes,
so,
very much.
Yeah.
And it takes courage. People actually have to find that courage within. Those are the ones that we know end up being successful, and we will work with them.
Yep.
Okay, number 2.
Yeah.
I commit to doing what I know is most supportive for me and those around me. Now, I would say most people think that they're doing this, but what they can't realize they're doing is like people pleasing. So I'm seeing a lot of on Facebook. I do a lot of attachment style work and healing and stuff. So on my Facebook news feed, it's coming out now, all these ads that are like, I know you thought that you were a loving partner, but actually you were codependent, right?
Oh,
it's
no.
like, it's pointing
no.
out, I know you think this is love, but you having no personal boundaries is toxic. So
Whew.
this is an area we really see it. Like, oh, I think I'm being loving, but actually I'm people pleasing or I'm appeasing. I think I'm doing what I need to do that's supportive, but actually I'm doing it because I think I should. Everywhere we do something as a should, it is draining to our bodies and it's dysregulating to our nervous systems. So a lot of us have been totally disconnected. I would say this: in survival mode, we are actually disconnected from our true intuition, from our true gut instinct, and we can't even tell the difference in our nervous system response. On this side of things, I know immediately if I'm invited somewhere, yes or no. It is very clear. And it's like before I couldn't really tell. And so I was just going from my mind. Well, of course I would go, well, I can't say no. Well, I should do this. That I couldn't even listen to my own body. So we actually have to get people in a regulated state to live in the parasympathetic before they can have honest intuition, true valid discernment, like actual appropriate, securely attached perspectives, because it is completely warped inside of survival mode. We operate in a completely different way. In fact, the blood flow in our brain is not even in rational thinking. It is in reflex centers, and the reflexes are built for survival. So I'm going to do whatever keeps me feeling safe in my comfort zone, but that perpetuates dysfunction. So this is just a little window into why we say I commit to doing what I know is most supportive for me, like in the highest, and for those around me, instead of all those other tendencies that you likely developed in childhood where you can't say no, or you overcommit to the calendar. It's these things.
Yeah. Well, and even to go back to one thing you said earlier in the episode, you said fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. This is the fawn part. Is that am I saying that right?
Yes.
So fawn, that's the freeze or fawn are the two that everybody leaves out. They don't know that that's part of it. And the fawn part is the people pleasing, right? That's the So
and
so,
I've had people, it's like when people are triggered, they're like, well, that's why I left and ghosted you, because I was mad and so I didn't want to hurt you. So that was whatever. Or, it's like the people that text bomb you everything they're thinking, like during work hours. And you're like, this isn't appropriate. Can we create a time to sit down and talk about this in person? Well, I thought I was being vulnerable. It's these things. No, you can't tell when you're in fight and flight and freeze and fawn. You lose self-awareness. So this is basically getting self-awareness. And I have a good question. I want this to be a value too, not just conceptual, but people know. Like, most of my job is getting people to slow down, get in their body, take some deep breaths, and then I just ask them good questions. Well, what do you need that would bring you peace about this?
Yeah.
And if they're in survival mode, mind space, they'll be like, well, blah, 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 but I can't do that because, and I'm afraid of this and blah, blah. And I'm like, hold on, you're not in your body. Let's slow down. Let's take some breaths. Let's get some awareness. Yeah. What do you need? And as soon as they drop in and connect, it's like we know deep down, if we slow down enough, we will always find the answers. Most everything I teach is just slowing down enough to have awareness. And so then they're like, well, actually, I had a client that works in a hospital, and, they were having a hard time at work, very overwhelmed, very stressed out, go into survival mode, would flare up. And it was like, well, what do you need? What are 2 supportive actions you can take that would help you at work, at your job, be calm, organized, peaceful, whatever, like feel better? And so what they came up with was, you know what I'm doing? Every time a doctor gives me a task, I jump right to it. So I'm ping-ponging all day long. What I really would like is for me to just have a list. When that stuff comes in, I just add it to the list. And then I can actually prioritize and decide one task is what task I'm doing. I can finish it. Then I can move to the next one. And also taking breaks instead of skipping breaks, right? So those were 2 things, totally transformed the entire rest of the work experience. So this lives in practical reality right now in the moment. Whenever we don't actually look at why we're stressed and we ignore it, that stress is going to live with us. So, it's like the faster you speed through life, the slower progress actually happens. You got to slow down,
right?
speed up, right? What is it? Slow. Was it you? We were talking about this.
Yeah.
Slow is fast.
Slow is steady, steady is fat, or something. I can't remember what it was, but
that's
yeah.
it. So the slower we go, the more we make conscious choices instead of being autopilot, we can actually discern what is most supportive. And even if it's hard choices, there is an underlying peace and resolution and clarity. So if you're not in a peaceful state, a clear state, a resolved state, you have unresolved stuff. And you can choose to ignore it. It's going to build up tension and stress in your nervous system, and it's going to communicate to every cell, this is unresolved, this is unresolved, disaster's coming if you don't do this, bad things are going to happen. Like, that's what's coursing through our body. When there's resolution, and I watch this in clients, they almost always take a breath.
Yeah.
They almost always relax their shoulders. Their face looks different by the end. They're not all up in those heads. And what about this? And what about that? And I'm worried about this. And I'm afraid of that. And I don't see how it can happen here and blah, blah, blah. They're just clear. There's resolution. So if you just ask yourself, what do I need to be at peace here? What's going to serve and be best for everyone in the long run? And you start opening that curious dialogue. Curiosity is the cure for survival, by the way. If you stay curious, you drop into curiosity. It allows your brain to go to a whole brain state, and your brain and your heart can talk. That's a state of coherence. You can actually hear your gut instincts and your intuition. And when you live life from there, that's a whole different ripple effect.
That is something that people are not used to. So yeah, that's cool though. I love that. And it's because even in the, even in the medical model, even in the medical, Hippocratic oath, right? It points you towards, what is it? First and foremost, do no harm. And I know that's talking to the medical staff, right? That's talking to the doctors and the nurse. Do no harm to the patient, but that could be applied to ourselves too, right? You're doing harm by a lot of the things we're doing every day.
Yes.
So recognizing that is the first
yes.
thing.
I just read something too. It was so beautiful. Also in relationships, like when I dysregulate myself to try to regulate someone else, I'm not contributing regulation to the relationship. I'm contributing dysregulation. So I tell people all the time, look, what's not best and most supportive for you is not going to serve anyone else. We live in the society, like in the lie that, it's okay, I can push through this because I want to please so-and-so, or I can take this on because blah, blah, blah. But when you are not in a healthy, peaceful place, you're not rested, you're not fed, you're not self-aware, you're running on burnout. I don't care if you have a smile on your face, everyone can feel it. And they get the worst of you. They get a reactive version of you and not a present version of you. And it's really like what the world needs right now is just for people to show up present. That's when the best of us comes out. That's when we can see the whole picture. We can really make wise and responsible choices.
Love it. And this is going to sound really crazy, but I wonder, in the first segment, I have a feeling that speaking of it is dysregulate. Maybe it's my brain wasn't working right, but I think I might have put the wrong QR code up for the first segment. So
I think it looks good. No, I think it was the right one.
Was it the right one? Okay, good. Because I have another one right below it that I created for another thing, and I was afraid that I put that one up there. So if you saw this one, that's great. Okay, good. Just making sure. Maybe that's part of that dysregulation thing. It's like,
we're working on it.
Thinking too hard, Anyway, well, awesome. Hey, I'm telling you, this is blowing people's minds right now, but it's good. It's a good thing because it's like turning a tide, right? It's not fast, but it's important. So, yeah, man, let's, we got We got one more commercial break to go to, and then we're going to come back and we'll see if we can tackle one more. So, all right, everybody, stick around. Stay with us. I know this is a lot, but stick around and we'll see you in just a couple minutes.
In a world where office workers typically receive 130 daily emails and have an 8-second attention span, CoreCentrica, with her 4 decades of international marketing experience, has partnered with the Learning Code Institute and their 30 years of neuroscientific research. Together, we are crafting unique messaging strategies that resonate, connect, and ultimately convert our target audiences. CoreCentrica, where award-winning creativity and disruptive neuroscience come together. Scan this code now, or call and click, and let us show you how CoreCentrica's partnership with the Learning Code Institute is influencing how businesses connect with their audience, foster engagement, and achieve conversions.
Tired of losing cell service in dead zones? Concerned about connectivity in emergencies? There is now an answer. Introducing the Love Pod. The world's first affordable encrypted global internet Wi-Fi hotspot connects with multiple service carrier networks and is satellite assisted when no service carrier networks are available. So it works virtually anytime, anywhere. Connect up to 9 devices, like our cell phone, laptop, desktop, TV, security cam, and more. Stream, chat, text, download, and make phone calls, all with no roaming fees. With mesh capability, the Love Pods will grow in strength and speed with each new pod activated to create a private terrestrial-based intranet called Love Global Network. The Love Pods are dual blockchain encrypted with Love's proprietary 2048-bit cube chain encryption, giving you the ultimate protection in data privacy and security against digital attacks and hacks to your devices. You are no longer tracked, and your data is never sold. Get the Love Pod, your private, encrypted, portable global internet Wi-Fi hotspot, and stay safe and stay connected.
Hi, Eva Black Occurrence here, and I am the host of One Punch Superstars, where we meet real people who chose to fight for their hopes and their dreams and become the champions of their destiny. You can find us on Achieve TV every Tuesday and Wednesday at noon Mountain Standard Time, right here on E360 TV.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got probably time to do one more of the 7. Yes. So I don't want to take too much more time. Let's just hit the ground running here. What's number 3?
This one's easy. I've kind of talked about it a little bit before.
Okay.
Third one is I commit to trusting my body's intelligence and to allow it to teach me about how I am perceiving life and how I can learn and grow. So one of the things I love to say is that in my experience, my body has been one of the greatest shadow work teachers that I have ever had, because it shows me exactly when there's something going on, when there's something being triggered, and how I'm perceiving a life event. So there's been so much research on a lot of what I'm talking about. And there was a German doctor who actually showed that on brain scans, there are lesions that actually show up based on how I'm perceiving a certain life conflict or personal conflict. And that corresponds on MRIs to the parts of the body. That part of the brain governs that part of the body that ends up being diseased. And how when those inner conflicts are resolved, the brain scans are redone, the lesion goes away, the MRIs are done, and there is healing in the body. So when we experience life, it is affecting our psyche, our body, our organ, our cells at the same time. It's all one system. They're not separate systems. And so what's so beautiful is based on those brain maps And by the time he died in old age, healthy, he healed himself from cancer through what he was discovering. And by the time that he passed away, he had documented over 40,000 case studies, and they are all 100% accurate, zero deviations between what's happening in the brain, where the symptoms happen in the body, and what type of life events happened 3 months prior in their lives to the onset of their symptoms. So 100% accurate amongst 40,000 that gets my attention.
Pretty stinking good.
Yes. And now so many people have done that. There's now millions of documented things, all with 100% correlation, zero anomalies. So
could that be good stuff too? I mean, you're talking about life events, like 3 months, 6 months before something hits.
Yes.
Could that be, so that's not always just your spouse passed away or your house burned down or you got in a car accident. It could be you got married, you had a baby, you got a new pet that was a little stressful. It could have been a good thing. It still stresses your body out a little bit. So it's not just,
we call them life changes, not traumas. And in fact, now that I've done this for so long, I would say the majority of people that are not clear on what's causing their stuff, it's because it wasn't some huge trauma. It was a positive thing or a neutral life event, just a change. And they thought nothing of it because it wasn't traumatic. See, the ones who have had trauma, they literally tell me, had court on this date. 2 weeks later, I woke up and I was blind in my right eye. And, then I was diagnosed with MS. It's like the people that associate it with something traumatic or stressful, they usually connect the dots. But the majority of individuals, 9 out of 10, I would say, it's not anything traumatic, which is why we never processed it. It's like if it's obvious to you, then you're conscious of it. This is all the stuff that is not obvious to you that's unconscious. So it really takes kind of a trained eye or a trained ear to know the questions to ask, to kind of figure out that timeline and help access that unconscious stuff, help show you what's in your blind spot. But I love this because that means, when I get a bronchial infection, I know the kind of conflicts that I was experiencing. When I have an upset stomach, like nausea, I know, there's something in my life that actively right now I'm not liking. However, if I have different digestive issues other than nausea, I know that maybe I was in conflict about some things in my life, but now it's resolved. Now my body is going through a healing process, so I don't really need to be afraid. So how do we know whether symptoms are because I'm in conflict right now? We actually do know. You can actually learn which ones show me I'm right now, the conflict just happened, versus, this was resolved and my body is going, don't have to worry about that anymore. Let me go through some cellular regeneration and healing. There are some symptoms associated with that too, as the body's rebalancing. But I love knowing that because it's like, nope, everything's fine. I'm not afraid. I'm not unclear. Everything that goes on in my body, I know exactly what it means. And I think that's really what people are looking for, is that clarity. It's that none of us are clear. So I started asking people, look, does your doctor tell you why the illness developed? It doesn't matter if it's genetic. Why were you fine until this point in time if it was genetic? What turned on the genes then? And it's like, no, nobody tells me why I got sick. They didn't tell me. So how can we expect them to tell us how to get better? And this is the only kind of way or system, like all these pieces coming together for me. It made complete sense for the first time ever of exactly why I got sick 3 months after a life change that I had never thought anything of. And I did all this trauma work on my childhood and everything else, still had the autoimmune disease. And so this was the only thing that actually made complete sense in my timeline. And sure enough, within 3 months, all of that was resolved because I was actually clear on what was going on. So it's like, it is a paradigm shift to be learning how the body actually works from a different point of view. But at the same time, there's so much clarity. And I think that's the majority of what we provide people is clarity.
Yeah. Because there's so much confusion in traditional Western medicine. Even if they say we know what it is. Here's what it is. They don't always know. They're just looking at a certain set of symptoms and aligning that with the medication they can give you.
Yep.
A lot of the time, not every time, but a lot of the time, that's kind of the jigsaw puzzle is symptom, medication, done. See you later.
Yep.
And they don't go any deeper than that. And so this is very different. So,
yes. And what you're saying is true. It's not just from, we're not anti-doctor. I have good friends that are MDs, and we talk all the time, and they're the ones telling me, my God, I didn't learn this in medical school, or, wow, that's so cool. Wow, I want to take education in that because we never learned this, or they just tell us we don't know why. And obviously there's things that are causing this that we're not taught. So, they know it too,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, even when I went to see my neurosurgeon for a follow-up for the last surgery, and they said, and I told them what I did to get through some of the after effects of the surgery, and they're like, oh yeah, I could see where that would work. And I was like, then why didn't you say something to me 2 years ago? Because they can't, but that's a whole nother subject for another day. That why that industry isn't able to suggest things that are outside of their realm. But we'll talk about that later. Well, I think this is I think we're out of time for today, but we got through 3 of them, right? We got through 3. All right, yes, it's pretty good. So what are we gonna be? We got about a minute or so left. What are we gonna talk about next? What's coming up? What's the next thing we're going to talk about?
Yep. And I'll leave these and recap here in just a minute. We're going to go through the last 4. I think we'll get through them because we've already laid some good foundation today. Right. So we're going to talk about the last 4 of the commitments of how to be healthy and live in a constantly regulated state. And then what's really exciting is I'm going to start walking you through, it's another 5, but they are 5 core principles that we teach to basically help a person do what we're talking about now. So these are actually going to be real life, tangible exercises, processes, things that you can do and implement in your life to begin going through the regulation process. And these are the same core 5 that we teach every client. Everyone has individual stuff too, but these ones are like the ones that we always teach everyone because they're just the foundation for being able to learn all of this stuff about yourself. So we're going to get to go into some fun stuff here coming up in the coming episodes.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh, guys, seriously, if you're not taking notes and listening, like actively listening to this, you're going to want to rewind this episode and listen to it all over again. If you're seeing this on Facebook, it'll be super easy. But yeah, this is good stuff. Okay.
Do we have time for a quick read through?
Huh?
Recap our 3?
Do it.
Okay, here it is. Commit to being open and willing to face all shadow aspects of myself in the process of being healthy. Process. It's a process, not a destination. I commit to doing what I know is most supportive for me and those around me. I commit to trusting my body's intelligence and to allow it to teach me about how I'm perceiving life and how I can learn and grow through life.
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot, but we just covered all that. And man, seriously, if you guys want to rewind the episode and take some notes and stuff, I highly recommend it because this is good stuff. And as always, the QR code's there. If you have more questions or you're like, man, this makes sense. I want to work with Michal. I want to talk to her. I want to ask some questions. Scan the QR code and you're in. You can have an introductory call with her and talk to her and see if this would be something that would be right for you. So, all right, Michal, thank you. This was awesome. As always, this is good. And we'll see everybody let's see. The next time Michal will be on the show will be, in a couple of weeks. So heads up, in early December, she'll be back and we'll be talking about more of what she was kind of recapping or previewing for us. So December 3rd, you'll be back. And so until then, everybody have an amazing day and we'll see you soon.